Did you know for Galaxy Quest, the scene when Tim Allen is in a men's room overhearing how the cast of Galaxy Quest are nobodies, and all the co-stars can't stand him mirrors an actual event in William Shatner's life? He discovered the exact same things about himself when he attended a 1986 convention. 2. Although Alan Rickman hated sci-fi as a genre, he could not resist taking part in this film as he found the material very funny. 3. Harold Ramis wanted to cast Alec Baldwin in the lead role, which he turned down. Steve Martin and Kevin Kline were considered, though Kline turned it down for family reasons. When Tim Allen was cast, Ramis left the project. After seeing the film, Ramis said he was ultimately impressed with Allen's performance. 4. Sigourney Weaver said that whenever she put on the blonde wig to become Gwen DeMarco, I could feel my IQ drop precipitously. 5. Tim Allen admitted that he was quite starstruck when he met Sigourney Weaver, as he's a huge fan of Alien. Allen even got Weaver to sign some of his Alien memorabilia between takes. She wrote "Stolen" by Tim Allen. Love, Sigourney Weaver, which she said made him very upset. Did you know for Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, according to Simon Callow, Jim Carrey didn't really want to make the film, which made on-set experiences awkward. 2. According to Jeff Daniels, Jim Carrey had explained to him the reasons why he didn't like the sequel. He disliked the whole Ace is afraid of bats angle, as he found it to be cheap, and even fought with the director about changing the script so that Ace was merely allergic to bats. Carrey was also very nervous about the film's depiction of the native characters, and that people might take offense to them. He's even surprised the film hasn't been outright banned. 3. Jim Carrey was paid $15 million to reprise the part of Ace Ventura, exactly half of the film's $30 million budget. It was actually the film's writer and Carrey's friend, Steve Odekirk, who suggested he'd negotiate with Morgan Creek Productions for this. Conveniently, Odekirk himself became the film's director, who then finalized this decision. 4. Despite Jim Carrey only doing this movie due to contractual obligation, the studio attempted to get him interested in doing another Ace Ventura movie several times throughout the years, to which he declined. Did you know for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The film's soundtrack became an unlikely blockbuster, even surpassing the success of the film. By early 2001, it had sold 5 million copies, spawned a documentary film, 3 follow-up albums which is Oh Sister and Oh Sister 2, 2 concert tours, and won Country Music Awards for Album of the Year and Single of the Year for Man of Constant Sorrow. It also won 5 Grammys, including Album of the Year, and hit number 1 on the Billboard album charts the week of March 15, 2002, 63 weeks after its release, and over a year after the release of the film. 2. George Clooney, upon reading the script, did not immediately understand his character, and so sent the script to his uncle Jack, a tobacco farmer who lived in Kentucky, and asked him to read the entire script into a tape recorder. Unknown to Clooney in his recording, Jack, a devout Baptist, omitted all instances of the words damn and hell from the Coen script, which only became known to Clooney after the directors pointed this out to him in the middle of shooting. Jack had never been on a plane before flying in for the premiere. Did you know for Raising Arizona, the shot where Evel and Gale stopped just before hitting the car seat with the baby in it was filmed in reverse, with the car driving away from the seat? 2. The relationship between Nicolas Cage and the Coen brothers was respectful but turbulent. When he arrived on set, and at various other points during production, Cage offered suggestions to the Coen brothers, which they largely ignored. Cage said that Joel and Ethan have a very strong vision, and I've learned how difficult it is to accept another artist's vision. They have an autocratic nature. Joel replied that he understood why Cage would make that statement, saying that it was a lot of fun working with Nick, but that some of his improvisations clashed with their vision and had to be edited. However, the Coens clarified that they would much prefer working with an actor who, like Cage, possessed a fertile imagination over one whose performance needed to be kick-started. 3. According to Ethan Coen, Nicolas Cage was crazy about his Woody Woodpecker haircut and that it reacted to HI's stress level. The bigger the danger he's in, the bigger the wave in his hair gets. Did you know for Rocky, Sylvester Stallone insisted that the scene where he admits his fears and doubts to Adrian the night before the fight be filmed, even though production was running far behind and the producers wanted to skip it? Stallone had only one take for the scene, even though he considered it to be the most important scene in the film. 2. The ice rink scene was originally written to feature 300 extras, but the production couldn't afford so many people. When Sylvester Stallone turned up to shoot the scene, to his horror, there was only one extra. So, Stallone hastily threw together the scene as it exists in the completed film. This scene has become one of the most popular in the entire Rocky saga. 3. Sylvester Stallone improvised the monologue that Rocky delivers after turning down Mickey's offer to manage him. Stallone has since explained that the bathroom of the tiny apartment in which they were shooting really did smell like death. 4. Sylvester Stallone and Carl Weathers suffered injuries during the shooting of the final fight. Stallone suffered bruised ribs, and Weathers suffered a damaged nose, the opposite injuries of what their characters had. Did you know for Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann sent alternative rock band Radiohead a videotape containing the last 20 minutes of the film and asked them to make a song for the end credits. They composed the song Exit Music for a Film, which appeared on their 1997 album, OK Computer. The director has said in the DVD commentary that he believes it's one of the best exit themes ever written. 2. Cinematographer Donald McAlpine was faced with a real problem with the meet-cute scene between Romeo and Juliet at the fish tank. The reflections of the water and the glass of the tank were almost impossible to light without causing all sorts of untoward reflections. McAlpine solved the problem by inserting a couple of fluorescent tubes into the tank out of the camera's eyeline. These were the sole source of light in the scene. 3. Romeo and Juliet First Kiss, which takes place in a cramped lift with the camera dizzyingly swirling around them, was achieved by making the lift into sections and putting the camera on a circular dolly. As it spun round, stagehands would lift and very hurriedly replace the lift panels to accommodate the bulky camera equipment. Did you know for Jerry Maguire, the parts of Dorothy Boyd and Jerry Maguire were originally written for Winona Ryder and Tom Hanks? Hanks was unable to commit to the project due to his work on That Thing You Do. Ryder was able to commit, but when screen tests were done with Tom Cruise, they looked like brother and sister when standing together. 2. Cameron Crowe's friends told him that Tom Cruise would never play a loser. Turns out Cruise was dying to portray a character that was on the ropes. 3. When Cuba Gooding Jr. first read for his part for the studio, he did so with Robin Williams, assuming that Williams was going to be playing the title role. However, Tom Cruise had already been hired, and Williams was simply substituting as a favor. Gooding went on to co-star with Williams in What Dreams May Come. 4. Cameron Crowe chose the world of sports agents as he felt it was an area that hadn't been really broached on film before. Also, because the industry is solely dedicated to money, and he was interested in seeing if such qualities like love and honor could flourish there. Did you know for Punch Drunk Love, just as the film was entering production, the long-term relationship between Mary Lynn Ricecub and composer John Bryan came to end, which meant that during the scoring there were days where Bryan was forced to watch his ex-girlfriend on screen for up to 8 hours at a time. In order to heal from the experience, Bryan urged Fiona Apple to work on some songs for a new album. Coincidentally, the resulting album was Extraordinary Machine, which is widely speculated to be about Apple's breakup from Paul Thomas Anderson. 2. Paul Thomas Anderson deliberately wanted to make a very different film after the rigors of making Magnolia. He felt he had reached a dead end with his previous multi-character movies, and he also wanted to subvert the critics' expectations of his films. 3. A subplot of the film was inspired by an article in Time magazine about David Phillips, a University of California civil engineer who stumbled upon a lucrative frequent flyer promotion. By purchasing 12,150 cups of Healthy Choice pudding for just $3,000, he accumulated 1.25 million air miles.